Hey, hi, what's good? What's up? I am gonna jump into the video in just a second here, but real quick, I did want to let you know this channel supports Black Lives Matter. I've got a few charities down in the doobly-doo that you can donate to. I will also leave links to other resources like how to contact your representatives about defunding the police, and I wish all of you safety and happiness during this very turbulent time. And with no further ado, let's jump into the video. Okay, we're just gonna fucking wing it. Hi, hello, what's good? What's up? I need to do a wrap up, actually. I know I don't read any books, but last month I gave myself a sick assignment to read some books, and as it turns out, I am still a delinquent. If I tell myself to do something, I go and do something else. I'm a rebel, literally without a cause. Also, we're gonna try to do this fairly quickly because it's a bazillion degrees outside, and I don't have air conditioning in this room, and my lights are so hot, I'm dying. Why did I decide to do this today? We just don't know. Anyway, let's get to the book. So the first book we're going to talk about is We Unleash the Merciless Storm by Tehlor K. Mejia. We Unleash the Merciless Storm is the sequel to We Set the Dark on Fire, which was a 5-star read for me. I absolutely loved it. I was crazy about that book. I would tell everybody that I knew to read that book. I still do. So obviously I was really looking forward to the sequel, and it just didn't do it for me. I gave this book 3 stars. It was just so meh. I'm gonna put a spoiler warning on screen, and I will take it off when I've stopped saying things that will spoil this book for you. This book was just so meh. It was so disappointing. It was really hard to read content-wise, just in terms of what I'm going through and what this book put me through. And the switch from Danny's POV to Carmen's POV just ended up getting rid of a lot of the things that I liked the most about the first book. What I really like about We Set the Dark on Fire is that it's very highbrow spy politics. It's super political, it's super dramatic, but also it's very subtle. It's all a tense balancing act. This book is not so much a tense balancing act as it is a non-stop action sequence, and I just, we're just not here for it right now. This book deals with a revolution, which you'd think would be timely, but it's just resolved so cleanly. There are a few character arcs that resolve in ways that feel super unearned. The twists feel pretty unsatisfying in this book. I will say, Tehlor K. Mejia is amazing at like the slow-mo bad decisions. Scenes that I literally scream through. Like I had to pause the audiobook like 6 separate times, and you're just like, no, and don't do that. And then they do it anyway. And I remember that being a part of the first book, but I also remember that being a part of what I liked about the first book and being really satisfying, like in how things work out, because everything in the first book is like so tense and full of dread. There's like this huge sense of relief when things work out. And the fact of the matter is, nothing works out in this book. Pretty much everything is terrible all of the time, and that's just not what I need right now. And just all in all, like I just wasn't really here for it, and that was disappointing. I feel like I'm gonna have to spoiler tag this entire conversation that we're having, you and me, so I guess I'll drop it now. I don't know. Overall, 3 stars. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. The prose, as always, is lovely. Everything about this book was just really unsatisfying to me, including the romance, which like I love Danny and Carmen together. Like I ship them so hard. The fact that like this book managed to disappoint me even in that arena, it was really hard to listen to, and by the time it was done, I was just like, oh, thank God that's over. When I finished this book, I was more relieved that it was over than satisfied by anything that had happened in it. So there you go. Take from that what you will. I don't know why this video is so hard to film. Probably because I don't remember reading any of these books because I got a Swiss cheese brain.
Hold up. You hear that, homegirl? That's the sound of my little pea brain rattling around in my fucking skull. I'm dumb as shit.
The second book I read was Lady's Guide to Celestial Mechanics by Olivia Waite. I had a friend recommend this book to me. It was a book that I got before my reading plans for June changed, and so I just ended up reading it anyway. It was $6. Like, I know that's not a review of the book, but it was $6. Oh, I have it right here. I usually don't have the physical copy of the book, but here it is. You can look at it. It's a historical romance. It was really fun. I gave it 4 stars. I can actually summarize this one for you. The Lady's Guide to Celestial Mechanics is essentially a story about a young woman, Lucy, who used to be an assistant to her father, who was an astronomer and is an amazing mathematician and astronomer herself. Lucy ends up connecting with one of her father's patrons after he passes away. Catherine St. Day is her name, the Countess of Moth. Catherine and Lucy work together to translate the works of a French astronomer with the hopes of proving themselves to the scientific community. Catherine is a widower.
Widow. I said widower when I was recording, but a widower is a man, not a lady, which would mean Catherine is a widow. I am so sorry for my incompetence.
Her husband, George St. Day, was extremely abusive, and Lucy not only just lost her father, but also just watched her ex-girlfriend get married. So they're both kind of going through it. While they are translating the book, they slowly fall in love, and it follows the trials and tribulations of their romantic relationship, but also them interacting with Victorian-era scientific community, which is not just male-dominated, but male-exclusive, and specifically white male-exclusive. From the title, I did think this was a totally different book than it was. I was expecting something sci-fi, and that is not what I got. But that said, I really liked what it was. The prose for this book is gorgeous. It's very much a narrative that is about trauma, and specifically healing from trauma, basically about the trauma inflicted by oppressive system, how that affects your life, how it affects how you view yourself and others, how it affects the future that you envision for yourself, what you can see yourself doing, what you can imagine other people like you doing, how it essentially defines your life in so many different ways, and how it can manifest both interpersonally and systemically. I don't read a lot of romance novels, and I don't read a lot of historical novels either, and I thought this one was really, really good at reflecting how queer people have always existed and people of color have always existed in white majority societies. Basically how a lot of the fights that marginalized folks are waging still are very old. I really, really liked it. A lot of the time I find stories like this really rely on really tired tropes and like really contrived drama, and that doesn't really happen in this book. The drama that manifests feels very authentic and feels very real, except for the main climax. The main climactic conflict of the book is super contrived, and I didn't like it. It's not a perfect book. There are just a few little things that like I could nitpick about it. Like Lucy is essentially able to like just read between the lines, so Catherine like never talks to her about her trauma and abuse. Lucy can just discern it from her actions. Like she just like knows everything that happened somehow omnipotently, which is a little bit annoying. And I also didn't find the romance to be that hot. There's some smut in here that just like didn't do it for me. To each their own. There's a big emphasis on consent if you really like that in the relationship. Overall, it's a relationship that's built on two people really caring for each other and really wanting to help shepherd the other person's growth, which I think is really cool. Really, most of the narrative is super satisfying, including the ending, and it's very good. I would read more by Olivia Waite again. Like, this book is so good that I've started to think about like exploring the romance genre more. It was a really fun book. Like, my friend recommended it to me, I recommend it to you. So yeah. The next book I read is Laura Dean Keeps Breaking Up With Me, written by Mariko Tamaki and illustrated by Rosemary Valero-O'Connell. Laura Dean Keeps Breaking Up With Me is a graphic novel about a girl named Freddie who is dating the most popular girl in school named Laura Dean, and Laura Dean keeps breaking up with her, just like what it says on the tin. This book had a nice conversation with me and then punched me in the mouth. It was rude, it was uncalled for, and I loved every single second of it. Reading about toxic and abusive relationships can sometimes be really, really cathartic for me. And I feel like Laura Dean Keeps Breaking Up With Me is an amazing book at depicting what toxic relationships are like, where someone mistreats you in a way that makes you feel like earning their approval and love is the only thing that is important in life. And you pursue their affection so single-mindedly that it blocks out all of the other important things in your life, specifically your friendships and relationships with other people who care for and love you. I just thought this book was so good. Freddie just wants to figure out how to keep Laura Dean with her, and so she searches for advice from everyone she can think of. Her friends, an advice columnist, a medium, and all of them tell her the same thing, which is if you want this girl to stop breaking up with you, you have to leave her. You have to stop letting her control your life and determine your worth. You have to take ownership of your relationship and realize how bad it is for you and start to prioritize and love yourself. And I won't spoil it for you, but suffice it to say, I found this book incredibly cathartic and satisfying. The art is gorgeous. It's a really quick read, and also like just a really emotionally evocative one. It's very slice of life. It feels really good. Oh my gosh, I liked it so much. I gave it 4 stars. You should read it. It's It's amazing. And that brings us to the last book, thank God. The last book I read is The Abyss Surrounds Us by Emily Skrutskie, and I did not like it. I gave it 2 stars. I'm gonna be making an entire pros and cons video for it. Oh my God, oh my God. The Abyss Surrounds Us essentially takes place in a post-apocalyptic world where the oceans have risen and a lot of business is conducted on ships, and the main character raises essentially kaiju to accompany these ships to protect them from pirates, which is a very like Dragon Trainer-esque story, so I was super hype about it. I don't know if you know this, but your girl is hella hype for a Dragon Trainer story. It's also gay. It's a Wooloo story about a girl who raises kaiju. What more could you ask for? A lot, it turns out. So this book is bad. Why is it bad, you ask? It's essentially a great idea, bad execution. Every single part of this book is broken except for the concept. There's no sense of who the characters are. The characters have no motivation. I don't like a single one of them. Plot is bad. Romance is bad. It's between 2 people who aren't people, and so you don't know why they would ever like each other or why they would be in a relationship. All the characters seem to omnipotently know what the plot is going to be, and so instead of acting like people reacting to things that are happening, they seem to understand that they are players in a scheme that is beyond their control, and so they act like automatons who just go and do whatever the author wants them to do for no reason. There's a lot of cool world building in this book. Obviously, it takes place after an end of the world that seems very connected to climate change, like the seas have risen. A lot of countries have fractured into civil war so that federal governments can provide for a smaller group of people. And we just see none of that. We don't get a sense of what that world looks like or feels like to live in. It's just exposited that that did happen, and that's why the world is like this now. It doesn't make any fucking sense. Also, slavery is bad. People out here enslaving each other again, like that, and it's totally normalized. It's totally normalized. Like, nobody's against it. Everybody's just like, yep, slavery's back, I guess. I'm so angry about this book, and I can't get into why because I'm gonna make an entire video about it and I don't want to repeat myself. The point is, book dumb. The twists are stupid. The climax is stupid. Everything that happens in it is stupid. Holy shit. I was really looking forward to this book, and really, like, this combined with the other books that I've anticipated recently that have just been nothing but letdowns are just proof that I shouldn't anticipate books. And that's what I read for June. My camera's dying, I'm dying from heat stroke, and this video is over now. I don't have a TBR for July because that's not how I do business. I have no idea how to end this video. Yeah. Okay. Good talk.
You get when they say to fund education. They don't mean get rid of all education. You therefore understand what defund the police means. Also, you know when I say save the turtles, I don't mean fuck every other animal on the planet that's not a turtle. You therefore understand what Black Lives Matter means. Just say it, Karen. You just hate black people. Yeah, you just hate black people. Whoa, you really hate black people, especially that bitch Obama. One more time, you hate black people. Come on, Chad. You really hate black people, but Kanye's cool. You really hate black people, especially when they step out of line. And by step out of line, I mean exist within your presence. Black people, you hate them. Ugh.